Well, we're back now from our trip, and just sit down here and have a little talk. I see I pissed off some of the subscribers. I'm sorry, but it is what it is. I'm going to try to make a long story short, so I'll explain the very beginning of the video so you don't have to keep skipping through to the end to find out the answers that you want. How I ended up on a boost. Long story short, we had a trip planned up. We only had 2 sleds ready to go. My uncle didn't have one because I got his Alpha from him at the end of last year. He thought his mountain days were done, so I took the Alpha from him. His buddy had a sled, so he didn't have one. We looked around a little bit at some used sleds. Nothing but garbage out there. There's nothing worth buying, so didn't buy any of those. I went to his local dealership to go look for some heated goggles. Got them. They're a Polaris dealership. He asked if they had anything to rent. They had a used sled there to buy. He's going to buy it, but it's sold. Then he said, well, I might have something to rent. My uncle's not big into renting because sometimes you end up crashing it and you end up owning a sled you didn't want to own anyways. So he's like, well, if I rent it, might as well buy it from you. Not a Polaris guy. He used to be Polaris 30 years ago. He's been Arctic Cat ever since. I've always been Cat, but ever since the turbo 2-strokes have come out, I've always talked about them. Very first one I ever rode was a Ski-Doo. It was awesome. I don't like Ski-Doo, but that motor was awesome. Last year I got on a Chaos Boost, and it was fun. We didn't have the snow to test it in, so it wasn't that great, but I enjoyed it. And then this one came up. This one's a 2024, brand new, 0 miles on it, 3.25-inch track, boost. The only thing it doesn't have is the good shocks. And it came up for sale. When my uncle talked to me, he's like, well, no, he's like, you know, it's going to be too much money, blah, 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 whatever. And as my uncle's telling me about this sled, I'm trying to talk him out of buying it. I'm trying to talk him into renting a sled for the trip instead. The only sleds to rent are Ski-Doos. Not a Ski-Doo guy. He isn't either. So neither of us would have been able to ride a Ski-Doo. There's one Polaris to rent. Again, he wasn't keen on renting. I'm trying to save him a bunch of money. I don't think you should buy a sled just to rent for one trip, 27th. These out the door, all in Canada, come on to just over $30,000. So the guy comes back with an offer to my uncle. Uncle can't believe the offer. And like I said, in the meantime, I'm telling him, don't buy it, don't buy it. I'm trying to save you some money. Renting would have cost just under $4,000 for the 5 days of riding. I was like, I'm trying to save you $20-some thousand, you know, just to rent a sled for the $4,000. And then I kind of found out the price. Well, that changed everything. And I told him he'd be stupid if he didn't buy it. That's how good of a deal we got on this sled for being brand new, 0 miles, all in. Got a wicked deal on it. It's the type of deal that everybody wants to come across in their lifetime, and hopefully you have the disposable income to be able to snatch it when it comes up. Thankfully, he has a little extra money. He was able to buy it. And then honestly, I kind of had my choice. Do I want to take the boost or do I want to take the Alpha? Well, a turbo 2-stroke out west is it's so much fun. I love the Alpha, don't get me wrong, I do love the Alpha, but we made a deal, and a little bit of a backstory here. Now I'm going to get into kind of the long story. So that's how we ended up with the sled. The sled was way too good of a deal to pass up. I'm not going to go into actual specifics for how much. But it's just a deal you do not pass up. Nobody would have passed it up. Even if you're a hardcore Ski-Doo guy, you would have bought this just to burn it down in front of the Polaris guys or in front of your Ski-Doo buddies just to laugh at it. It was a good deal. So, well, not that good of a deal, you wouldn't do that, but you know what I mean. So yeah, in the meantime, I got the Alpha, and I just jokingly said, well, I might have an Alpha to trade back on you. It's got brand new 4-wheel kit and this and that I just put on it. So I might be able to trade that in for the new boost. I was just joking. I had no idea I was going to get the option to even try to get this off of him. And he just kind of chuckled or whatever and said, well, we'll see what happens. So then, yeah, at the end of the whole trip, on the trip, he's like, well, you might as well ride that. He's like, I'll hop on it once in a while. I'm like, okay. And at the end of the day, he's 60 years old. So he's a little bit older. He's getting up there. His riding's not quite the same as what he used to be. This is just a lot of sled. It's just a lot of sled for him. Again, the deal is too good to be turned down. And we made a deal so that he gets the Alpha back. And he's really enjoying the Alpha. The Alpha is an awesome sled for him. That 4-wheel kit really helped out. And it's just running good, and it's all the sled he needs. Honestly, it was all the sled I needed. But when you get an opportunity like this to own a turbo, you jump on it. You just do. So that's what happened, guys. That's how I got into a boost. I'm going to be on a boost for a couple of years here. I know the new Catalyst is coming up. We got this. I'm able to get this off of him for cheaper than what I'd be getting into a new Catalyst for. And this has a turbo on it. This has the 7S screen that actually works in Canada for buddy tracking. That's a joke with Garmin. That irritates the hell out of me, that whole issue. What should have happened was Cat and Skidoo both should have went to Polaris, and they should have paid them royalties on using this technology. They don't have to use a screen. They could still integrate it to Garmin. I know that would have flown good with Garmin because they're doing their own thing. They got their own technology. It's the same stuff, just using different radio frequencies, whatever. And they should have done that so that all three manufacturers can link up together. That's what should have been done right from the get-go. And for me being on a Polaris with this 7S screen, if I want to get my buddy to link up, it's going to be way easier for me to try to convince him to buy the Trailtech Voyager Pro GPS unit that has buddy tracking on it, because Polaris owns it. I believe they own it, or they own rights to it, or percentage, or whatever. But it will link up with the 7S display. So for my Skidoo buddies, I'm going to be able to convince him to probably buy one of those way before. I'll never ever convince him off of a Skidoo. Ever. So that's nice. So I could have bought the new Cat. I could have got the new Garmin. I still wouldn't have had buddy tracking. And I still couldn't even convince my other friends to buy something that'll connect up, because Garmin's other things that do connect up aren't available in Canada. For whatever reason, I'm thinking it's too high of wattage of power that they're using in Canada. You can only do 2 watts of power for transmission, for radio transmission signals. Anything over that, you need a license. So I'm thinking they're probably pushing out 5 watts of power because you get a little bit longer distance. And so now it's illegal for consumers in Canada to be able to use that unless they have a license. I think that's what it is. I could be totally wrong. I have no idea. I haven't looked into it. But just logically in my head, that's what makes sense. And even if I did get that Cat, I still can't hook up to anybody that has Polarises and stuff. That's just a whole joke, that whole system. So this way, I got this. I got the maps on here. I got everything. I can convince other people possibly to buy a Trailtech GPS system, put it on their sled, and we could all hook up, and it's all good. So that's what's happening. The Alpha is still within the family. Uncle took it back. Trips that we go on, if he comes out, he'll be using that. There's potential that if I go out with my brother that doesn't have a sled, or my cousin, he doesn't have a full-blown mountain sled anymore, if we go out west, there's potential that they could borrow it. So I'm hopeful that it's still going to be coming out west with me on trips, and I'll still jump back and forth. I did like the Alpha. It's a awesome sled. You cannot pass up the boost. Not for the price we got it at. If the price is going to be higher, if it was yeah, and it's a 24. Like the 23s right now are getting advertised as $19,000 plus taxes, plus PDI, plus freight. So you're still coming in at whatever. I don't know what that would come in at. But that's an awesome price, but that's for a 23. The 24s, they revamped a little bit. They worked with the clutching here a little bit more. They got a better tune in it, and it's got the new track. This track is overkill, but it's an amazing track. It hooks up awesome. There's a couple places I thought for sure I was going to be stuck, and it took me out of it. So yeah. So that is what it is, guys. I'm sorry I disappointed a couple of you that were on the channel just for 100% Arctic Cat stuff. I tried before doing reviews of other sleds, and I like jumping around, and it keeps companies honest, and it keeps them trying to fight back for your business. And again, if the price wasn't what it was for this, I wouldn't be on this. I would have been on the Alpha, and life would have been great. But when an opportunity like this comes along, you jump at it because it's too much fun. It is just too much fun to pass up. I cannot ride Ski-Doo, so I wouldn't even look at a Ski-Doo. I think the Ski-Doo turbo motor, I think, might be better than this. It's more clean of an engine. It runs crisper, has a really good bottom end, and all the way through it feels like there's zero turbo leg. It's just power all the time. This is a little bit different, but I'm still in braking. It feels like the turbo's kicking in a little bit sooner now. They're probably giving me a little bit more power. I'm 3/4 of the way through braking now on it. So it feels a little bit snappier. I'm going to fool around with the clutching a little bit. I'm pulling too high of RPMs. So yeah, there'll be a couple things I'll do, and maybe I'll make the bottom end a little bit snappier. But the Ski-Doo turbos came down in price. I thought about them. I'm just not going to take my time to learn how to ride Ski-Doo. I'm just not there. They're wide, they feel goofy in the front end, they're too pulled back too far. I cannot ride them. It would have taken me a while to figure out how to ride it, and then they would have been fine. But that's not my thing. So I didn't even want to consider a Ski-Doo. Well, I did consider a Ski-Doo turbo just because it's got a turbo, but not for very long. But this came along, price was awesome, and so jumped on it. It's got everything a guy needs and wants. I'm sure the new Catalyst is going to be an amazing machine. I'm very hopeful to get on one next year and try it out. Hopefully I can rent one out in Revy maybe. Maybe some dealers will, hopefully Full Speed or somebody will pick up a couple Catalysts here and rent those out, because I would love to take one of those out and try them. I think they're going to be a wicked machine. The 858 is going to be an awesome motor, but it's still just not a turbo. Once Cat comes out with a turbo, which they're going to have to do because both other brands have turbos, then maybe they'll pull me back. But for now, I'm going to have fun with this sled, and it is what it is. I'm not really sorry. I'm sorry that some of you guys might be offended by it and disappointed by it, but at the end of the day, it's what I want to ride, and I'm having a ton of fun on it still. And I know it doesn't make me unique anymore. It makes me like every other guy out there that's running a Polaris, but it is what it is. It's yeah. So thanks for watching. Hopefully that'll explain a little bit more. If you have any questions, comments, please put them below. And I try to get back to everybody. I really do appreciate you taking the time to actually comment on my videos. It's nice. So any questions at all, please, except for the price. Like I said, I'm not going to go into the actual specifics of price, but you can kind of figure it out a little bit. If I say in Canada I can get it for cheaper than what a new Arctic Cat is going to be. new catalyst is going to be. You can figure out kind of where it's sitting in. So that's that, and hopefully you guys will stick around. I know I lost some subscribers here a little while ago once I saw that I was on Polaris, and a couple other guys are talking about possibly leaving. Do what you got to do. But like I said, I'm hopeful to still get out on Arctic Cat 2, and I'm going to go bounce back and forth because it's fun. I still like the Alpha, and yeah. Alright, thanks for watching, guys. Bye.